It is the best day of Melchizedek. It is the best day of the King of Salem. It is the best day of Melchizedek. It is the best day of God of my King. I'm the super race of Melchizedek. And Daddy, I know soon I will see you. Like a sensible virgin, I'll be waiting for you. Always and forever, my lamp will be full. To serve you, my God, to serve you, my King. We are your people, Melchizedek.
Hello, blessed Super Race. Today's topic is the Order of Melchizedek, the Dispensation of the Wrath, Part 1 and 2. Lesson 676.
For that effect, let's go straight to the Bible. Let's go to Prophet Isaiah. Prophet Isaiah spoke plenty about this topic. And there in Isaiah chapter 13 from verses 9 through 11, the prophet tells us, "See, the day of the Lord is coming, a cruel day with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land desolate and destroy the sinners within it. The stars of heaven and their constellations will not show their light. The rising sun will darken, and the moon will not give its light. I will punish the world for its evil, the wicked for their sins. I will put an end to the arrogance of the proud and will humble the pride of the ruthless." For that reason, this specific point that we are now talking about, we have titled it the prophesied wrath, because the wrath appears in many verses in the Bible, and it is very important that you have that detail in mind. But look how that day is coming, cruel and with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land desolate. Note that has two very important aspects that we have to have in mind. There is a physical aspect and there is a spiritual aspect. In this case, when it says to make the land desolate, notice that is taking place today in the heart and in the life of the people who foolishly got away from the coverage of our mother, the Archangel Michael. So the spiritual emphasis is specifically when it says the rising sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. It has a significance that is in the mind, because remember, today we have the light of the world among us. And what is the comparison? The comparative element, when we read the biblical prophecy, when it mentions the light, it obviously refers to the sun. So then it says that to these people the sun will be darkened, and even the moon's shine, which is precisely to shine through the darkness, will not be with them either. Today, for that reason, we can go, for example, to the prophet like Nahum chapter 1 verses 2 and 3. But I emphasize on verse 2 that calls to my attention. The Lord is jealous and avenging God. Keep an eye on those due to words. The Lord is a jealous and avenging God. The Lord takes vengeance and is filled with wrath. The Lord takes vengeance on his rivals and vents his wrath against his enemies. Look closely. That is very interesting, and you should have it in mind, and I will explain something to you. And when you see the outlook in the setting around us now and the reasons that motivate this setting that surrounds us today, then it leads us to think, okay, the Archangel Michael appeared, our mother Lisbeth. Okay, what has been the reactions of the mass group of the people that were here while the edifier was here? Well, there was a group of us who embraced her. We accepted her. We understood. Perfect. Okay, what about the other group? It has generated a division, and the ones who are against the Archangel Michael, as well as the set forth of this dispensation, have entered an opposing, destructive, hurtful, thieving attitude. Those situations and against that character are framed within this concept. Blessed, the Lord is jealous and avenging. And listen carefully, takes vengeance on who? On his rivals, and vents his wrath against whom? against his enemies. So then that group is framed within the titles that Nahum mentions: rivals and enemies. So then we understand there what is God's jealousy. God's jealousy is over who? Well, over what he has established, over the person that he is supporting. Blessed. At this moment, I would like to go to the second point, called the motivation and the reasons for his wrath. Note, look in Genesis chapter 6, verses 5 and 6. Look how interesting. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of men was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. Note that he says that he saw the wickedness. He saw what the men were doing. So then, the question is, do you think that God is not watching our attitude, our behavior, and our procedure today? Of course he is watching it, blessed. And he is watching those who in a shameful way have risen up against the Archangel Michael, which God is seeing, blessed. So then the question is, if God is seeing them, do you think God will remain still? The wrath of God, listen carefully, the wrath of God, Paul mentions it too, is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and injustice. Pay attention, close attention to these two elements, ungodliness and injustice, who suppress the truth with injustice. The ungodliness is everything that is done against the will of God, what is not just, and his wrath will be spilled over who? And we will also discuss as the second point, how will his wrath manifest. So then, when you go to Romans, the letter from the Apostle Paul to Romans, in chapter 9, verses 21 and 22, it says, does not the potter have power over the clay from the same lump to make one vessel for honor and another for dishonor? What if God, wanting to show his wrath, wow, the little word wrath appears again, look how important, and to make his power known, endured with much longsuffering the vessels of wrath prepared for destruction. Imagine, that is something that is ready to come upon them for that divine wrath to take place. So then, whenever the question of, hey, and over whom comes, we can see that that wrath was prophesied. We understand that the motivation and the reasons for his wrath. So then now we begin to understand over whom that wrath will be spilled on. So then the point is widened even more when we go right there in Romans in chapter 8, verses 7 through 8. Look at what it says. Because the carnal mind is hostility against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, nor indeed can be. So then those who live in the flesh cannot please God. Notice that there is a very important point here that leads us to understand the reason why we have had to enter that process in which our mother has led us to, of purification, whitening, and cleansing. For what reason? Because we all have flesh. So then what was done, remember that Babylon was torn down. Here in our minds, nowadays, our spirit is completely in control and in charge of the whole situation. And for that reason, even if the flesh wants to suggest things, it is not in charge anymore. Notice that when you go to Matthew, let's go to Matthew, there in chapter 21, look at this verse, how Jesus said to them, have you never read in the scriptures, the stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore, I tell you that the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people who will produce its fruit. Keep an eye on that, its fruits. Anyone who falls on this stone will be broken, listen well, to pieces. Anyone on whom it falls will be crushed. Listen to me carefully. This is interesting because this is what is happening to the people from the previous veil. Blessed, they stayed stuck in that veil, ignoring what we have in front of us today. God himself, in the person of the Archangel Michael, with the fresh manna. First letter to the Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 3 through 4. Look, they all ate the same spiritual food and drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank from the spiritual rock that accompanied them, and that rock was Christ. Look, all of this written there, as I said before, all these people who are there today in that disunity, because we all received the same thing. We all received the same food. The question is, why did they leave? We did not leave. We are here. The wrath is manifested as a result of those people being removed from the glory of God. As always, I declare you blessed in the name of my father Melchizedek and my mother, the Archangel Michael.
Conclusion. The super rays of our God Melchizedek Michael give thanks because he teaches us that his wrath is only against those which are not submitted to the order of Melchizedek. So if we love, honor, and obey the teachings of the Archangel Michael, if we are clean and in the order, we will not see his wrath over us. Abba Melchizedek Michael!
It is the best day of Melchizedek. It is the best day of the King of Salem. It is the best day.